Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Reflections broadcast for this week. And I'm so excited to be back with you all this week. So last week we had the launch of our Reflections broadcast. So for those of you who joined us, you know that we interviewed the amazing Zola Tekiso, who is the founder and CEO of Great Seed Talent. So we had an amazing time with her last week. And today you are back with me. So I'm going to be sharing with you on, the importance of planning for success. So this is going to be our topic for this week. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us. It's good to see you all. And just to give all of you who are joining us or joining me for the first time, just to share a little bit with you, just in terms of why I launched this platform, Reflections. So over the last couple of years, I've been looking for one platform, where I'm able to get information and insights and ideas with regards to business, with regards to your home, also with regards to relationships and, fashion, beauty, mental well-being, all of these wonderful things that, women really find important. And, I wanted to tap into a platform where I would be able to get some insights and learnings. I'm very passionate about personal development, and I've spent a lot of time over the last couple of years. In fact, it's been more than a couple of years, just working on personal development. So I really enjoy tapping into platforms where I'm able to get some insights, get some learnings, get some inspirations, ideas, creativity, or some of the ideas sparks creativity, and I'm obviously able to move some of my goals forward. So I was looking for this platform and I couldn't find it. And I then decided, okay, I'm going to be launching my own platform, that will incorporate all of these facets that are so important to me. And I believe, some other women as well will be able to, get some good insights and learnings from. And also, a platform where I'm able to tap into, where I can get some, spiritual learnings that will, help me to develop on my spiritual journey as I move forward. So I was looking for this one-stop experience, and that's why I decided to launch Reflections. So thanks for joining me. And as we're going to be working through the various weeks, we will have different topics that we will be covering every week. For those of you who know me, I'm very passionate about SME development, and especially about equipping and empowering women entrepreneurs in the areas of business and property. So obviously I will definitely be incorporating, the entrepreneurial side to the Reflections as well, as you saw last week. And then I just plan to continue bringing some, good topics as we move forward. So thanks for joining me today. And for those of you who haven't subscribed to our platform yet, please do subscribe. So you can subscribe to our newsletters. In fact, we started the newsletter editions of our Reflections initiative. We started 3 months ago. And Reflections, as I said, is a woman's initiative. So for those of you who haven't subscribed yet to our newsletter, please do sign up. You can sign up on www.candicevandwyk.com, and you'll be able to get some really good insights. And you're also welcome to go onto my page, www.candicevandwyk.com. You'll see I also have a Reflections section there. So please do spend some time on that page. I share some of my experiences, some insights that can also help you in terms of your entrepreneurial journey. And of course, everything else, as I mentioned, I'm really looking to bring about this holistic approach to successful women. And so I think let's get into our topic for today. So today I just want to share with you, just on some important things to consider when you start planning for success. So last month and the month before, as part of our Reflections platform, we spent some time, just sharing with you the importance of revisioning. And, we've obviously gone through this national lockdown situation. We're still in national lockdown. And, we've seen, some people go through really a lot of difficult times. And some of you may be also involved in supporting some of the initiatives that are out there. I know our church is also doing a lot of work just in terms of getting some supplies to people who are really needing it at this time. So we at least have that platform also to tap into, so we can share some of our financial resources so that the church can obviously go out and have impact there. But a lot of people have been going through a lot of difficult times, and I've been reading some articles as well, and I've been talking to people, even people within my own, network of family and friends. Some people have been affected. They've some have received, or some have been experiencing pay cuts as far as their salaries are concerned. Also, some contracts are not being renewed. And of course, some people have also lost their jobs. And I'm sure some of you may have people in your own network who may be going through some of these situations that COVID-19 has actually brought about, in a very short period of time. So, I don't think anyone is under any illusion that as a country, we are going through very difficult times. And in fact, across the world, economies are really struggling, and people are going through very difficult times as a result of the impact that COVID-19 has had on economies around the world. And I just thought that, whilst we were in this lockdown period, I just thought that it's important for us, not to become too absorbed in terms of what's happening and become too negative with everything that's going around us. But I think it's also important, to try and find the positive and see the positive in every situation. And I always try and find the positive, in situations. I always try and look for the positive as well, in addition to being aware of what's happening, but trying to find, some positivity in terms of what's happening, and how I'm able to use that, to help me to become a better person, to expand, to grow, to develop, and of course to help others as well. So I asked, I was encouraging my followers just to spend some time just revisioning, and dreaming again, connecting with those dreams. So whilst we are in this lockdown situation, and I know obviously, we are on level 3 now, so a lot of people are working, whether they're working from the offices or they continue to work at home. But I know a lot of people have also been productive, over this time. But for those of you who've been very discouraged and who've been feeling very down, I did encourage you just to spend some time connecting with your dreams again and revisioning. And that's the important thing. And, as you start doing that, it starts replacing those negative thoughts with positive thoughts. And, the Bible teaches us that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So for me, it's very important to focus on, positive thoughts that are able to help me move forward instead of just focusing on the negative thoughts. I'm really encouraging you, for those of you who are feeling a little bit down and still negative about a lot of things, just start replacing your thoughts with positive thoughts. And we start by doing, replacing our thoughts also with positive thoughts by the things that we're focusing on. And that is why I encourage a lot of people to say, start focusing on your dreams again. And in fact, one of the things that I shared was, start doing your vision board, your dream walls. And that's really where it starts. So it's important to put that vision board together. And a vision board is really, it's a board, a canvas board that you can buy from any, a stationery shop. And you basically find words and pictures that represent your main goals and your main dreams. And you put them on there. And, you put that vision board or dream wall in a place where you can see it all the time. And it's really an expression of what's really on the inside of you. And you are expressing it all, on this board, irrelevant of whether you have it today or not. And that's exactly why it's a vision board, because it's things that we are aspiring to and things that we really enjoy doing as well. And you might have some traveling aspirations that you put out there. You might have some family aspirations that you put out there. Some of you are maybe single today, and you still need to get married. So you can even put that picture of your future spouse on there. And that's what I did. So I learned about it in 2011, and at church, one of our pastors was preaching about the importance of a vision board. And, I grasped it and I started working on mine. And I can't tell you how many of my dreams have come to pass. In fact, I've got a book that I call now a book of remembrance. So every time I achieve my goals, I actually take them and I put them back, I put them in this book of remembrance. And I obviously then just start updating my dream wall again. So I am in the process. I obviously use this lockdown time as well to just also update my dream wall again. So for those of you who are coming back next week, I will be sharing, you know, my updated dream wall with you so that you can also see, you know, what I've been working on from that perspective. But now that we have our vision boards in place, or now that we have a clear understanding of what our dreams are, you know, what it is we really want to achieve, it's also important to make sure that we start working on our goals and the plans that are going to help us to achieve those goals, you know. So I'm sure many of you have also heard the statement that says that a goal without a plan is just a wish. So it's important that once we have our goals defined, that it's important that we also start putting plans in place that can actually help us to achieve those goals. And I also want to share with you, when you start working on your goals, you obviously now have to take, you have to work on your short-term goals, you have to work on your medium-term goals, and you have to work on your long-term goals. Now, a lot of people, you would think that goal setting is such an easy task to do, but I've coached quite a few students over the last couple of years, and I can tell you that a lot of people do not have their goals clearly defined. And obviously, once we start working through the journey, not only they become clearer in terms of what their dreams are and then what their goals are. And obviously, then we start putting some plans in place that can actually help them to achieve those goals. So it's important to have your short-term, medium-term, as well as your long-term goals in place. But remember, it's important to start with the end in mind first. So your long-term goals can be anything, you know, 10 years and above, you know, so you could start with, so as a start, you could start with 10 years as your long-term goal, and you can start listing your various goals under your 10-year you know, vision in terms of what your goals are. And I can give you an example. For example, one of the things that my husband and I want to do is that in 10 years' time, we want to be retiring on a farm. So that then becomes a long-term goal for us, because that's where we want to ultimately retire on. And we want to be in a position where all our business projects are, in terms of some of the property development projects that we've started, we want to make sure that those projects are completed. And of course, all the other business ventures we have in place, those things can then, you know, we've managed to have put a good system in place so that those businesses can basically take care of themselves. So ultimately, you know, that's the plan. That's what we're working towards, is to ultimately retire then on that farm. So that becomes then a long-term goal for us. And then of course, then you now need to start narrowing it down. Then what are your 5-year goals that you have in mind? And then of course, also we even bring it down to 3 years, and we bring it down to 12 months and even 6 months if you would like, and sometimes even 3 months, you know. So we start working on little tasks that can help us to ultimately achieve those bigger goals. And that's really where it starts. So it's important to have your goals clearly defined. And once you now have the end in mind and you start working yourself back, now of course you start putting certain tasks in place, and those tasks all become part of a plan, you know, in terms of how you are going to be achieving those goals that you've set out for yourself. And it's important, you know, to have a plan, because you've also heard, this is also one of my favorite sayings that I've also heard, and it says that lack of planning, failing to plan is planning to fail. That's it, yes. So failing to plan is planning to fail. So that is why it's so important for us to make sure that when we have our goals clearly defined, that we now start putting a plan in place. But today, I just want to focus a little bit more on the goals. So, and I'm sure some of you have come across the SMART acronym as far as goal setting is concerned. And I'll break it down for you. So that means that as you are busy defining your goals across the various periods, you know, from long-term to short-term periods, it's important to make sure that your goals are specific. So your goals need to be specific, and it's important to make sure that your goals are also measurable. So that means that if you are making a goal, you need to understand that, okay, if this is my goal today, how am I going to be measuring it? You know, how am I going to be measuring it to know that that goal has actually been achieved? Okay, so that's the important thing. It needs to be specific, but it also needs to be measurable. If you are in business today and your business you want to increase your revenue by X amount of income, for example, it's important to know how many clients or how many products or services do you need to sell in order to achieve that amount of revenue that you are desiring. So that's the important thing. So that is why it needs to be measurable as well, so that when you achieve your goal, you actually know that you have achieved that goal, you see? And then the other thing is that it also needs to be attainable. So your goal really needs to be a realistic goal. When you start putting your goals together, make sure that that goal is attainable. So when you start setting goals for yourself in business, for example, in terms of the amount of revenue that you'd like to generate in the future, you know, in terms of the various periods, make sure that that goal that you that target that you're putting out for yourself is definitely attainable for the period. And I'm not saying, you know, don't push yourself in terms of your targets, but what I am saying is that you need to make sure that it is attainable. You obviously need to look at history. You need to see your delivery, what you've delivered, and then of course, you know, plan your way forward. And one thing that I forgot to mention, you know, earlier on when I started the conversation today is that it's important to assess yourself, you know, in terms of where you are. And this is another thing that I also, you know, share with my students. So when it comes to working on our goals, it's important to know where you are so that you can obviously start planning forward. And that's the same thing with this particular example that I'm using. So it's important to know, you know, what you experience in terms of the past couple of months and maybe even last year. So if you've got targets, look at how you performed last year and the previous year around about the same time, and then see what is possible and how you're able to work on those goals. Okay, so that's as far as attainable is concerned. So that's the A in the acronym. And then also it's important to make sure that your goals are also relevant, you know. So as you can see, we're really getting into the detail in terms of breaking this goal down. So your goal needs to be relevant. So if you have a dream, if you have a vision, ultimately your goals will be put in place to achieve that vision, isn't it? That is why you have that vision, that big dream that is out there. So you need to make sure that all your goals are relevant. So I know we've got various dreams, and of course you're going to have various goals, but all I'm saying is that you need to make sure that all of those goals that you are putting in place are then relevant for the various, you know, projects that you are working on. So that's very important, because if of course, for like with one of the long-term goals that my husband and I have in place in terms of owning our own farm, it's important for us to make sure that we know, you know, what type of income we need to have in place in order to, you know, buy the type of farm that we are desiring. So we know what we are working towards. So we know what we need to start working on today in order to achieve that long-term goal. So it's very important to make sure that your goals are relevant, and everything that we are working on in terms of this goal is then to make sure that all of these little goals in between, that all of those goals are relevant. And ultimately, as we continue achieving those various goals, it's then eventually gonna, you know, help us to actually get to that bigger goal, to that bigger dream. So that's the important thing. And that's why you need to make sure that everything that you're working on in terms of your goals is relevant to your dreams. In fact, you know, I learned about this as I was also reflecting over the lockdown period. I was busy reading some books, and one of the books that I read, this was just the insight that I got, that and you know, this entrepreneur was just sharing that in terms of their specific field, this is how focused they are. So all the opportunities that come their way, they make sure that the opportunities that they take on are actually relevant, you know, relevant to the bigger vision, you know, the bigger purpose that they are working on. So if it is not aligned, to their goals, you know, they simply don't even, you know, focus on it or give it any attention. And that's the important thing, because if you are now going to be all over the place working on goals that are, or putting goals in place that are not relevant to your dreams and what you're pursuing, then you're going to start feeling, a bit stressed out at times. Also, you're going to feel a little bit burnt out at times. Why? Because you're focusing on a lot of things and not necessarily all of those things are helping you to achieve your goals. So it's important for us to make sure that we really zone in and make sure that all the things that we are focusing, that we are prioritizing, are helping us to get a step closer, to that next goal and ultimately to that dream that we are aspiring to. And then also another thing, another element of goal setting that is important is that, and this is the last element of it, is that our goals need to be time bound. So, and I think I've kind of also mentioned that as I've been sharing with you now. So our goals need to be time bound. So, and that really means just putting a timeline, to your goals. So by when do you want to also achieve that specific goal? So that's the important thing. So I'll just take you through it. So the acronym is SMART, for those of you who don't know, and our goals need to be specific. Our goals need to be measurable. Our goals need to be attainable. Our goals need to be relevant. And also our goals need to be time bound. So that means that there needs to be a timeline, a time period to that goal. Because if we don't have timelines to our goals, then of course it means that, what are we working towards? So we need to know what we're working towards. And I must also just say, it's okay to have your goals, to rework your goals or to rework your plans. So I think it's important for you to know that it's important. It's okay for you to do that. So, because as we go through the various stages in life and as circumstances and things change around us, we'll find that sometimes our goals will have to be adapted, but that's okay. So remember that it's a working document that you put in place. So when you start writing your goals down, it's a working document. You review them on a regular basis, see how you're tracking. And of course, then you're able to make the necessary adjustments there. And that's okay. So it's okay. And I can also say that as we go through various stages, I mean, things that were important to me maybe 10 years ago are not necessarily that important to me today. So it's okay for us to revise those goals accordingly, as we also work through the various stages. But some goals will remain in place and they will remain fixed. And another thing that I also want to share with you, and in our part 2, we'll obviously focus more on the planning side. So as part 1 of our planning for success is really focused on the goal setting. And then of course, in our second part of planning for success, we'll focus more on how to actually, the importance of actually putting the plan in place. So we'll talk a little bit around that. But I just wanted to share some of these insights with you. And of course, we are going to be spending some time, for the remainder of June. Our theme for the month of June is planning for success. So please stay connected to our platforms, our social media platforms. Stay connected to them in terms of the website as well. And connect with us and also see what we are sharing with you in terms of planning for success. Also, we will be having some workshops that are coming up this month, and they're also available on my page, so you can have a look at that. And you might not necessarily be interested in attending all of the workshops, but what I'm really trying to also do through this is that I want to make sure that as we're spending some time unpacking some concepts. I mean, last week we did the webinar with the live broadcast with Zola Tekiso. And from that broadcast, some people actually said to us that, yes, they would want for us to put a webinar together where we actually train entrepreneurs in terms of some tools and resources that they can use that can just help them to better plan, some of their social media tasks and some other tasks that they're involved in. So we did say that we've already had conversations around that. So we're going to be putting that together. So as I represent and as I make these workshops available, where you feel that you need, some assistance in, remember, it's just a way of sharpening those skills and making sure that you're getting the right level of information, the right skill set, the right knowledge that can help you to be able to successfully pursue these goals that you have now put in place, because that's really what it's all about. And you will also just focus on training and skills training that you believe is relevant for your goals and what you're working towards. And that's how we need to analyze, these opportunities that come our way and see what is relevant from that perspective. So just also keep an eye out on that. We have also shared our June calendar with you, so you can have a look and see what is important and what's going to help you to move your journey forward. And then, yes, ladies and gentlemen, so I think it's quite short today. We normally do like, we allocate about an hour, for these broadcasts, but I am on my own today, and I just wanted to keep it short and sweet. And if you've got any questions for me with regards to planning for success, please put them in the chat box, share your comments with me, and I would be able to then just attend to them. I am going to check my phone now because I've got my, when you do these live broadcasts, you have to have all of your devices in front of you. So I've got it. Yeah, I'm going to check and see. I know there is a bit of a delay with the live broadcast and the updates coming through on my Facebook chat box or comments. So I'm going to have a look at that and see if there's if any of you have any questions. But if you do have any questions with anything that I've just shared, for the last 30 minutes or so, please feel free to share with me, to comment, to ask a question. Even once the broadcast is done, please also go there and leave your comments and your feedback and any questions that you may have. I also enjoyed when people engage with me. So please do email me if you've got any questions or anything that you'd like to share with me. Please do that as well. Any insights that you maybe also want to just share with me, you're welcome to do that. So you're welcome to do it on my social media platforms as well as on email. And our email address is info@candicevandwyk.com. I'll say that again, it's info@candicevandwyk.com, and you're welcome to share there as well. And of course, I'll make sure that as I move the Reflections Initiative forward, that I also address some of those comments and some of those suggestions that you are sharing with me, because I really want to make sure that you are getting some good insights and getting some good learnings and ideas, and give me some likes and tell me what you are enjoying, so that we can obviously bring more of what you enjoy. So let me just check and see if there are any comments here. And like I say, there is sometimes a little bit of a delay. So I might not necessarily be able to see all of the comments immediately. And just as I had anticipated, I can't even see from my phone, I can't even see the live broadcast. So how am I even going to see the comments if there are any? So for some reason, I can't see it on my phone, but not to worry. If you do have any, please do leave that in the chat box. And then what I'll do is next week, I'll just make sure that I address all of that. And then just to prepare you for next week, so I am interviewing an amazing woman. Her name is Nobukosi Dlamini, and she is the MD and the founder of Bahati Tech. So it is a tech business, and she's a woman in tech. So one of the reasons why I'm interviewing her, she's a multi-award-winning entrepreneur. She's also had the opportunity to represent Africa in the UK, where she was talking to an audience of investors and talking to them about, investing in women in tech across the African continent. So really a dynamic woman, and I'm looking forward to that interview with her. And I know that as I interview her, I know that we're going to be getting a lot of learnings and insights from her. The Bible also teaches us that iron sharpens iron, and it's important for us to also hear from other successful entrepreneurs and also hear from them what they are doing and how they've been able to achieve a level of success in their business, and also what keeps them motivated and what drives them, so that they continue even in the midst of challenging times, in the midst of difficult times. What makes us to continue working on our dreams, working on our goals, our businesses, whatever they are. So I really look forward to that interview. Please remember to tune in. So that's next week, Friday, same time, 1 o'clock on my page that you are on now. And you're welcome then to connect with us then. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We will also make all our live broadcasts available on my YouTube channel. So I'll also put the URL link for you in the chat box from today's live webinar or a live Facebook broadcast. And then you'd also be able to catch up on some of the, the broadcasts that you've missed for previous weeks. So remember also to just subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you're welcome to share that channel and all of our other information as well. So thank you once again, and remember, if you pursue your dreams, you will love your purpose, and that is what I want to leave you with today. So continue working on those dreams, continue pursuing those dreams, and you will achieve them, and ultimately you will love your purpose. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a blessed day, and we'll catch up soon. Bye.